Hello, everybody. Welcome to the All Day Football Show. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Kellogg, and today we'll be doing my first power rankings of the season, NFL Power Rankings post-off-season edition. Free agency and the draft are over, meaning we can make the first power rankings of the season. This year is going to be a bit different, though, as last year, doing those 30 to 40-minute power ranking videos, not very many people watched it all the way through. Actually, very few people did. So to shorten video time, only the top 10 are going to be analyzed, and 32 through 11 will just be a list order at the beginning. Anyways, let's get right into it. Starting off with the 32 through 11 list, the Texans are this year's dumpster fire with a roster of no talent, and their best player might not even be playing for the season after having trouble not messing with women. Yikes. It is hard to rank the teams out of the gate, as many appear to be very similar in terms of talent, but they will get to separate as we get closer to games in September. So that's where any from the Cardinals to the Colts, those teams could be arranged in any sort of order. The Raiders to, I'd say, the Vikings could be arranged in any sort of order. So that's why it gets tough, but that's when the games progress, that's when you really get to see who's that good in those kind of tiers and who's not. So without further ado, let's get into the top 10 teams in football after the offseason. At number 10, the Tennessee Titans are on the fringe as the best team in the AFC South, and I would say barely nudging themselves into the top 10. They lost key pieces in Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Adoree Jackson, Kenny Vaccaro, Malcolm Butler, and more. They did sign Bud Dupree and Josh Reynolds, as well as Jack Rabbit to help fill some holes, but after taking Farley in the first round, they hope to revamp the secondary and make a better run for the Super Bowl this year. But hopefully, this first-round pick doesn't play only 4 snaps in their rookie year and then get flipped for a seventh-round pick. Sorry. That was probably one of the worst picks of all time. At number 9, the name redacted, Washington has a monster roster and made it even better in the offseason, bringing in William Jackson as a plus, and they rocked the draft, getting Jamin Davis in the first for the defense, and also grabbing Diami Brown and Samuel Cosmi for the offense. The only question mark on this roster is the quarterback position, boasting Fitzmagic, Taylor Heineke, and Kyle Allen. If they can figure out the quarterback spot, then the rest of the team should be able to carry them to the playoffs, because this team is loaded at just about every other position except maybe the offensive line. They bettered the receiving core. The defense looks like a top 10 unit, so this team is looking good and set up for the future. At number 8, the Baltimore Ravens. They were able to keep much of the roster intact, except for maybe Matt Judon and Yannick Ngakoue. Judon, who came north to New England. They got help for Lamar Jackson in the draft by getting Rashad Bateman in the first round and drafting Ben Cleveland for offensive line help. The defense looks to get more consistent from last year, but as long as the offense is less predictable from last year, which, to quote Lamar Jackson, teams were calling plays at the snap against the Ravens. So as long as they can fix those little things, this roster is still talented, and they will be a force to be reckoned with in the AFC. At number 7, my New England Patriots. Yes, I am a homer and biased about this, but come on, look at the roster. Not name brand talent per se, but great consistent players. Bill Belichick for once had an amazing draft, bringing in the hopeful future quarterback in Mac Jones, who I am very high of, while also bringing in defenders Christian Barmore and Ronnie Perkins to help out the front 7, something that was a very underrated issue for the Patriots last year. The only question will be how the roster overhaul of the players gel together, as there is a lot of new talent coming in, but the good thing is that they have the greatest coach of all time to help them out. So as long as this roster plays well and the quarterback position isn't one of the worst in the league, then this team looks set up to go to the playoffs. At number 6, for now, is the Green Bay Packers. If Aaron Rodgers really does leave, then the Packers are out of the top 10 easily. The defense is good, but not elite, and Rodgers keeps the offense afloat, and if Jordan Love goes in with no real film on him in the pros, it will not be known how the Packers would look. He couldn't even beat out Tim Boyle for the quarterback 2 spot last year. So for now, the Rodgers-led Packers are still a great team. that will always fight for the NFC for the crown of the NFC Conference Championship loser. Had to give you that one, Packers fans. At number 5, the Cleveland Browns, as this team is legit. They made the playoffs for the first time in eons last year, and the roster only got better this offseason, bringing in Jadeveon Clowney, John Johnson, Troy Hill, Takk McKinley in free agency. And then they did even better in the draft, getting Greg Joseph at corner, JOK in the second round. The Browns are Super Bowl contenders for the first time in decades, and it is realistic that they might actually make it this year. I think they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Baker Mayfield's a beast and severely underrated. He still gets crapped on for that sophomore slump year, but it has happened to many other players. I think the Browns are legit, and people are undertaking them a lot more than they should. This roster is amazing. At number 4, the LA Rams, another roster with limited flaws. Time will tell if the Stafford trade was worth it. But despite that, the Rams boast a team that has one of the best-looking offenses in the league, but they will have to score a lot to overcome the shaky-looking back end of the defense that has very little talent in the linebacking group and the secondary. As we just mentioned for the Browns, John Johnson and Troy Hill are both defensive backs for the Rams. Aside Jalen Ramsey, they don't really have any other cornerback talent. The linebacking group is a little sketchy, but this offense, they drafted Tutu Atwell in the second round. I don't necessarily know if it was the best decision, but they've got another 4 wide receiver set built in Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, and Tutu Atwell. Plus, they've got Tyler Higbee and Cam Akers in the running back group. So this offense does look very good. It's just going to be a matter of how is the defense going to be able to hold up. At number 3, the Buffalo Bills. Getting into the top 3. The Bills already had a plethora of talent, but made it better by bringing in Emmanuel Sanders to help Josh Allen even more on the offensive side. And then defensively, one of the main issues for the Bills was their pass rush. So that's why with their first 2 picks, they drafted edge rushers Gregory Rousseau and Carlos Basham as developmental pass rushers to keep this Bills team as one of the best in the league. As a Patriots fan, I really hope they fall off a cliff for some reason this year because this roster looks great. Josh Allen played lights out last year, and I think this team is going to make a legitimate run for the playoffs this year in a very competition-heavy AFC this year. At number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. I really wanted to drop the Chiefs this year. All off season, I said their reign was over. They have so many holes to fill. Magically, they filled them all. The offensive line looks like one of the best in the league with Joe Thuney, Orlando Brown, and company protecting Mahomes better than that sorry performance in the Super Bowl. The defense even looks like one of the best in the league. The Chiefs will have to fix an inconsistent offense, whereas they have top talent in Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, but there were teams who were able to stop them fairly well offensively last year. Between the Falcons, which was a shock, the Patriots were able to, and the Buccaneers in that Super Bowl just absolutely shut down that Chiefs offense. But other than that, they're the kings of the AFC until a team can come and prove it otherwise. Though I do think there is competition this year between the Bills, Pats, and Browns. And at number 1, the Tampa Brady Buccaneers. The defending Super Bowl champions were the first team in NFL history to keep all 22 starters from the previous season for the following year. I swear, if Brady wins an 8th Super Bowl, I might just have to buy a Brady Bucs jersey. We'll see, though. But this Bucs team is absolutely stacked. In the draft, they went and drafted Joe Tryon in the first round to get the eventual replacement for JPP. And they drafted Kyle Trask in the second round, a developmental quarterback out of Florida, to be able to help sit and learn behind Brady, so that when Brady either leaves when he's 52, Trask can take over, or Brady can just suck the life out of Trask and play for another decade. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your weekend, and let's go Pats.